very interesting method of organizing. And Cesar and Dolores were trained by Red Ross, and they did the CSOs and what have you, which is basically mass-based community organizing. Why I say this is because it's interesting with relation to your town here in San Antonio, because you're organized by cops, I guess with regard to the church.
Right.
And church-based organizing. Cops, citizens organized for public service. Any of you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. It's your town. That's how you got the, whatever the Riverwalk is. I'm sorry,
Check that microphone there.
There's one.
Hello?
There you go.
That brought you into a battle with the Frost Bank, which you completely redid your river walks and the flooding issues and whatever. As Ernie Cortez Jr., which went on then to create the Metro Alliance here in San Antonio.
Cops Metro.
Something like that.
Right.
Anyhow, I think it's very interesting because, I mean, I also was in the boycott committee of Cesar
Oh, were you?
Chavez back when, and Dolores is from New Mexico, and she keeps going back and forth all over the country now,
She does.
in the national politics, and of course, there's been a big change, as you all know. And so that, I think it really is an opportunity for us. I mean, you can look at the glass half full or half empty or whatever, but I think it's an opportunity for us to, when I see a church full of people who are coming here on justice issues, land, culture, history, it tells me that we're now into another cycle of change, of movement, if you will. And, you know, we have to be aware of all these movements, and I thank you for the education that you've given us, but I think to be able to understand the tie between, what we're talking about again here is the people of the land. I'm from Nuevo Mexico, and we come from the people of the land, from these land grants, okay, in New Mexico. Land-based history and culture. That's what we all come from, but we know we have different histories of development and what have you. But I think the fact that we come from that culture, and the fact that it's tied to the land, and that we have tremendous organizing experience here in this room, okay? Because I really think we need to be careful about reinventing the wheel or committing our same mistakes all over again. We need to learn from what it is, from our history. This woman here represents that kind of a missing piece, because I used to also work with the TFW, and I'm very aware of the splits that took place between Cesar and TFW and all those types of things at the time. And so I'm really amazed that there's a farm worker center here, if you will, a union representation here in Texas, and I think it's important to continue to nurture that. You talk about passing workman's comp. We just passed that 2 years ago in the state of New Mexico, 3 years ago for farm workers that are getting their arms cut off and working in the dairy industries and what have you on farms and stuff like that. And Dolores came and she said, wow, we did that 25 years ago. And we think about, about New Mexico and the situation, farm working conditions and what have you, you know. It's still somewhat and very much the same, particularly with regard to migrant farm workers and what have you. Carlos Marentes, do you know him?
Yes.
Border agricultural workers. Yeah. Anyhow, there's a tremendous and deep history here, and I'm just really pleased to see how, the fact that a farm worker woman is here in a conference on the land, okay, and with regard to the people, tells me a lot, but I really also think that we need to reflect on our history so we can move forward. Thank you also, Jose Angel Gutierrez, because when I was 18 years old, I was a member of, I was First County organizer and Partido de la Raza Unida in Nuevo Mexico, and that's how far that influence went, and it's still alive today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Maybe 5.
I really want to thank you a lot for listening to me. I was unsure how this would relate, but after listening to Jose and to Jerome talk last night, it's part of that. It's part of that whole history, right? It's how we became landless, and how we still remain as descendants, and we cannot forget that. I do want to say before I close one thing. is that legislation affects us. And so when NAFTA, there was about 3 or 4 things that happened in the valley. In '83, we had a devastating freeze that froze all the basic industry, which is the orange and citrus industry. So instead of replanting citrus, the people sold it and it became parks for recreational vehicles for the tourists. And so we lost a huge segment of our agriculture down there. And then in '93, 10 years later, we got NAFTA. And so all of the produce went south of the border because it was cheaper there to produce and harvest, and then they would just ship it across. And so agriculture in South Texas has taken a major hit. And so we always assume that, well, it went to the rest of the state of Texas, but it has not. I was driving through Pecos last summer, and I said, well, let's go for some Pecos cantaloupes, right? And there's one grower in Pecos that grows cantaloupes. And so agriculture has taken a huge hit in Texas. There's some, but not as much as we used to have. So anyway, just for you all to know. Yes?
I just want to thank you. And I heard about you when I was younger. In '66, I was still in high school, but I knew your name, and I knew the gentlemen that you've listed. I knew their names. And Bishop Gracida also had addressed our school about the march, which I belonged to a Catholic school, all-girls school, and he had addressed it, and I thought, you know, I need to follow this, and I did, and I had for many years, but I had never met y'all in person. I thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, well, thank you so much.
Rebecca Flores, I mean, what a
Wow.
debt of gratitude we owe.
Awesome.
I mean, we have right at 10 minutes, and I'm going to slip in one more speaker. It's a member of our board, Nicholas Bailly, who has tirelessly, almost single-handedly at times, carried the torch and the good fight and an incredible amount of research. A veteran is going to speak just for a few minutes about this Nueces Strip and where their struggle has brought them in trying to get the word out. Nicholas?
Good morning. My name is Nicolas Bailly, heir and descendant of several migrants. And it's a privilege, and I thank our special guest, Mr. Jose Angel Gutierrez, the visitors from New Mexico, Mr. Patterson, for being participating with us today. Things are starting to come together. And they told me not to speak about too much about the Treaty of Guadalupe and not to rock the boat too much. But that's not in my blood. I'm sorry. My opinion on the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo and the laws of adverse possession and the statutes of limitation. They already know they screwed up. They already know who are the original Spanish and Mexican land grantees. Problem is, we need to find a way to go around or change the laws that they made in order to take over our lands. And those are the laws of reverse possession and statutes of limitation. Laws that we all face when we go to court and we have never won. My family has been fighting for our land grants since, I say, the 1920s. In some of our land grants, they say, my line of the family don't even exist, but I'm here. And that is in Salvador del Tule. This issue we're going to straighten out, and I'm going to have to prove in court that the Bailly family is here, and we're still alive, and we are the descendants of Salvador del Tule. Right now, I'd say Misaelin Fowler, the Galanes, Treviños, and all of these things, they're going to face the statutes of limitations, adverse possessions, laws that Texas recognizes, laws the United States of America recognizes. This needs to be changed in order to move forward. And this is the reason that we are here together. My goal, and I'm very happy to see such many bright brains around here, Mr. Gutierrez, the people from New Mexico, get together and figure out, help us out, what direction to take. The state of Texas knows they owe us. They need to settle with us, one way or the other. We're going to read here. I believe the English laws can be removed by proving that the territory below the Nueces and east and north side of the Rio Grande River does not legally belong to the Republic of Texas. The state of Texas, or the United States, territory that has been claimed by force and fraud. That's why I say we never were part of the Republic of Texas or Texas. The United States acquired this territory illegally when it annexed Texas in 1845. That's what started the war in 1846. And the United States decided to invade Mexico for refusing to sell or give up their land. Several Supreme Courts have claimed that we were already part of the United States in 1845, and the Treaty of Guadalupe in